And I have to thank the graphic team for the fantastic graphic on here. I quite like this one. In fact, it just made me laugh when I got it through. I had to use this one. It was absolutely perfect for today. So what we're going to do is, this is the format for today. We have 4 sessions, and each or so, so that we can have some discussion around it. Then we're going to do some feedback. And then the feedback around those particular discussions that we've been having. And then any questions that come out, I'm actually going to handle those at the end of each session so that we can be fresh in our mind about what you've heard and ask questions about those particular areas. So, can everyone hear me okay? Yes. Good. Excellent. I know quite a lot of you in the room, but I haven't met some of you. So I thought I would do just a little short introduction. This isn't going to take long at all because I don't have time for it to take long. The main thing that I wanted to get across to anyone who does know me in the room today is that I come from a development background. So this infographic here, so I come from a development background and then progressed through from development to engineer to consultant, project manager, program manager, and well, the rest is history. I've worked for a number of companies there, and I'm absolutely delighted to be the CEO in Europe for MetaCube, which I kicked off in January. So that's just a little about me. And I think, has everybody here come from a technical background? Hands up if you come from a technical background as a manager today. Okay, so we're on the same path. So this is good. So what does a leader do? I forgot to say, today is going to be quite interactive. So I'm going to ask you to feedback throughout the sessions. It's for no other reason than to keep you all awake. So what does a leader do? Shout out what you think a leader does, just very quickly.
The one who knows the way and goes the way and shows the way to others.
Shows the way to others. Very good. I like that. Thank you. Any others? Oh, it's a little early still. That's all right. I'll let you off. What does a leader do? Well, a leader leads. Simple as that. It wasn't a trick question. Where does a leader lead? So, maybe 1 or 2 answers. Where does a leader lead?
Everywhere.
Anywhere? Everywhere? Very good. Well, I don't know if this is going to be a surprising answer, but downwards is the first answer to this question. So you lead your team. You have to forgive the graphics. I did this quite late last night, and I was, trying to keep myself awake. So I've got some crazy things going on the screen. I don't normally do lots of different slide transitions and stuff, but I thought it'd be fun. So your team, you lead your team, and what does your team need you to do? So we run through some of these. They need you to know them. So I don't know if any of you run big teams, or if they're small teams. I would imagine most people have maybe 3, 4, 5 people in a team. Would that be about right? But then some of you may manage larger teams. Historically, the maximum I've managed in any one go is just under 40, which is far too many for somebody to manage. One of the arts of being a leader is to know the individuals in your team. Everybody's different. Everyone has different leads, capabilities, things going on in their lives. So know them. So I'll give you an example. You know, I work with a few people in the UK, and you know, I can tell you that Steve, who works for me, is married. His wife's name's Anna. He's got a 7-month-old child. You know, you kind of pick things up about the people that you're working with, and everything that you pick up about the people that you're working with is absolutely vitally important, because it helps you to understand them as an individual, but it also helps you to understand how they are working today, tomorrow. You know, every day is different, and if you know what's going on in their lives, it helps you to understand how to manage your team individuals better. So you need to know them. You need to drive them, obviously, and it goes without saying, hopefully, you need to keep them filled with enough work to keep them busy, and you need to drive them to do the work. And it's an important, absolutely important part of being a leader, but it isn't the only thing, which is the purpose of this deck that we're going through here. So yeah, drive your team to deliver the work. And you'll notice actually that there's not very many points that I'm going to be raising about the work itself. So you need to support them. So it's my opinion, and I think it's a reasonable opinion, that in order to lead a team successfully, you need to be able to do the work that they are doing. And if they get stuck, you need to be able to roll your sleeves up, get stuck in, and help them. And you need to support them through the work that they're doing. So support is very, very important. You need to guide them, give them some direction. You know, and one of the comments around where does a leader go, you know, you take people in different directions and you lead them into different places. Well, you need to guide people in the direction that they've got to go in. And you need to mentor. So that, like coaching. So, you know, every single person, no matter what level they're at, requires mentoring, requires coaching. Every single person has more skills that they can learn, and they'll look to you as their manager, they'll look to you as their leader to impart your knowledge, your experience, your background into helping them develop as an individual and also to develop in their work. So mentoring is hugely important. You need to be fair. So, you know, and this covers a huge number of areas. We could probably spend 20 minutes talking about that alone. But, you know, if you've got a team of 5 people, you need to be treating them the same way. You need to be making sure that they're not overloaded with work or underloaded with work. You need to be making sure that, you know, if you make a decision for one person in your team, you're making the same decision for somebody else. But also, you know, if somebody, let's say somebody in your team isn't pulling their weight and everyone else is working really, really hard, well, that's not very fair on the ones that are working really, really hard. So you need to manage those individuals that are perhaps not working at the same pace as the others. So being fair is really, really important. Obviously, care, you know, we all get pressured, we all have lots and lots of work to get done, and sometimes, you know, that can get on top of you a little in terms of, you know, driving your team and making sure that all the work's getting done. But this care ties very much into know. If you know the individuals, then how you handle them is you need to handle them with care. Right? You know, I was talking about Steve with his 7-month-old child. You know, I wanted Steve to come here to India with me, but I knew that some pressures at home would mean that would actually put a lot of stress on him. So I didn't make it imperative for him to come to India, because I knew that the caring thing to do would be to allow him to stay at home with his wife and child and look after the family. So, you know, care is really, really important. And trust. You know, you need to not be watching over the shoulder of your team every 5 minutes of the day to make sure they're doing what they're doing. You need to trust that they're going to get on with what they're doing, and give them time and space. And yet sometimes they won't get things done the way that you want, or they might fail in something, or they might make some mistakes because you're not watching over them every 5 minutes. But that's actually how they grow, that's how they develop, that's how they learn. So trust is really, really important, trusting them to get on with what you've asked them to get on with. Trust is a two-way thing. Whenever you see trust come up on any of these slides, it's not just about you trusting them, you need to build trust in you. So you need to make sure that they know that you'll support them, that you'll mentor them, that you'll guide them, that you'll, you know, look after them, and you need to build that trust, because if you build that trust with your team members, they will work harder, they will they will make sacrifices in their work for you as a leader because they trust that you're going to lead them in the right direction. So trust is a two-way thing, and it's very important. And together, in terms of your team, so downwards leadership, all of these things are what make a good leader. Excuse me. Just need to grab some water. So leading your team is clearly not about the work. We'll knock something out here. No, that's fine. It's not about the work, it's about the individuals. So being a leader, this is the difference between being a manager and being a leader. Being a manager, you're really focused on the work and making sure that you're managing the workload through. Being a leader, you need to understand your individuals in the team and know each and every one of them needs to be led in a different way. So you need to understand that and work with that. It's also a conscious thing. Sorry, I'm just conscious of time. It's also a conscious thing. So you don't just come in the morning, start your work, and expect that you're leading. You need to have a plan for how you're going to lead your team. I know that every single one of you will have a plan for the work that you're going to be doing. So you might have a plan that's, and this is a terrible plan, so this is just a silly example, but you might have a plan for, you might be looking after 2 clients, and you might have a plan for the individuals in your team and the work that they've got to do tomorrow, and the things you've got to do for your client, and the work that's going to happen. Those plans you'll have in place. And I know that you'll all be working in probably Jira, and there'll be various different pieces of work that are going on. But that's not a plan for a leader, that's a plan to get some work done. A leader needs to be thinking about the individuals. So, and this again, this is just for, this is just to make a point. This isn't how you should write a plan. This isn't what you should do exactly, but this is just an example. So, if you're planning as a leader, you need to be thinking about these individuals. You need to be thinking, so Manish's birthday's on Wednesday, so I need to remember to say happy birthday on Wednesday. Rupal's just passed, 3 badges, so we've got to, make, congratulations around that. Sudha's daughter's unwell, so maybe she's not going to be working as hard as possible. I've noticed Vikas is coming in a little late. Maybe something's going on at home. I should check in with him and make sure that everything's okay, because that might be affecting his work. These kind of things should be going on in the background while you're thinking, what focus should I be giving my individuals in my team? So the focus will be different for every individual. What work should they be doing? What development should they be doing? So maybe it's technical development, like sort of reaching ranger status by going through some trailheads, or Vikas learning Heroku, because that's something that needs to be done in the next few steps from a work point of view. Mentoring, so you should be thinking, how can I mentor the people in my team? What would they need from me? So it could be help with time management, help with estimating. Estimating is terrible. I mean, I know very few people that are absolutely the best that you can be at estimating. So there's always room for improvement there. You could be helping them with documentation. You could be helping them with learning how to be your replacement. You should be looking in your team and thinking, which one of these individuals is going to take my role when I get a promotion up to the next role? So you should be thinking about how you mentor your team and making a plan for that. And then you should be looking for opportunities. So you should be looking, okay, well, actually, I think I can get an extra 10% out of this individual if we manage them in a slightly different way. Or, actually, at the moment, I'm leading my scrums, and I could be better placed using my time elsewhere. So maybe one of the people in my team can do that. So you should be looking for opportunities to develop and grow the potential and the work of your team. I made these too slow. Really apologise for that. It seemed fast last night, I tell you. So leading your team requires holistic planning. So you're actually looking across everything to do with those individuals, not just the work that they're doing, and it's a deliberate exercise. So you should be writing a plan for your leadership. How shall I lead my team? Start making plans for that. I'm not going to run through all of this, you'll be pleased to know. This is just, again, some examples, but, you should be starting to think about questions. You should be starting to think, about the work. Does the person have too much work, too little work? Are they the right person for the job? Are they equipped for the job? Do they need more skills? Do they know what to do? When you ask someone to do some work, they should play back to you what they've understood, so that you know that they have understood what they're going to do. You've got to be constantly questioning yourself, questioning whether you know enough about the individuals and the work that they're doing. Motivation, you need to actually, so for each person their motivations are going to be different. I'm pretty sure across this entire room, everyone will have some motivations that are the same and some motivations that are different, but almost everybody has a different makeup of motivations, things that make you want to work and want to do what you're doing. So, but there's also things that reduce your motivation. So it could be that somebody likes to be included in decisions, and if they don't get included in a decision and they just get told, I've decided you're going to do this, it actually is a demotivator and doesn't make them work very hard. But some people might not like, they might feel uncomfortable with being involved in the decision-making process, and they like to just wait and receive the instruction. Each individual is different, so you need to know what motivates people and what demotivates people. And again, in motivation, how can I help people step up to the next level? What's going to motivate them to go that extra mile, that next step? So you need to, and this comes back to that first point on that first slide, which is knowing the individuals in your team. You need to know what makes them tick. Well-being is hugely important. You should be looking after your team. This comes back to care, which was on the first slide. Are they in good health? Are you seeing any signs of stress? Are you seeing any signs of being overworked or distraction? Maybe things going on at home that are distracting them. You need to be looking after the well-being of the people in your team, because as the line manager, you're the one responsible for that. You're the best placed person to look after the well-being of your team. It's not the HR department's job, it's your job. So that's very important. And then development of skills. We've spoken about development of skills already, and I mention it again because it's really important. Everyone aspires to do better and better and better, to get better skills and to grow and learn. And that's, again, it's your job as a manager to know the individuals and how best to do that. And so what do you think? Maybe, does anyone know what the most important question is that you should be asking yourself? Has anyone got a thought, an idea on that? It's still too early. After we've had more tea, I'll be getting lots more responses. So it's, how can I better serve my team? And for some people that is a little strange. You're the leader, your team should be serving you, right? But that's not right. You're the leader, you serve your team, you're helping them achieve what they can achieve as individuals and collectively as a team, and that's what drives the company forward, and that's what drives your team forward. So your service to your team is understanding them and helping them to be able to be the best that they can be. And you should be always asking, every day, ask, how can I better serve my team? What can I do differently so that my team can grow and develop? So, believe it or not, that was 20 minutes. So we've got through the first session already. Did that feel quick? It felt quick to me. So, we're going to do a group exercise. Hands up in here if you've never done a group exercise before. Have you done this before? This is good. This is good. This is good. So, individually, on your pieces of paper. I want you to have a think in a couple of minutes and write down what is the most important change you can make in the management of your team, and what impact would you hope to gain from making that change. So I want you to write that down. And before you write that down, you need to know that what you're going to do is then tell those two things to everyone in your group of six, 7 people. And you're going to have a discussion about which one's best. You've got to decide between you which is the best idea, which one is the best change with the best impact. So one of you will have a piece of paper with the best change, the best impact. Someone else in that team will be the one who represents you for it. So you're not allowed to represent your own idea. So if your piece of paper gets picked, because that's got the best idea and the best impact, someone else has to choose to represent it when we do the feedback, okay? So we've got 10 minutes. So off you go. Gives me a chance to drink my tea.